Eat more ice cream isn't typically thought of as good health advice, but that's how Dr. Ezekiel Emanuel frames it in his new book on aging and living a healthy life. Earlier, I spoke with him about eating well and about the Trump administration's recent overhaul of public health. Eat your ice cream. It's like, don't tell me twice.
Exactly.
Why did you decide to make that the title of your book?
Because wellness should not be about self-denial, punishment. It's really about, you're going to live a long life. You have to have pleasure. And if you're going to stick to things that make it long and healthy, they have to be things you like doing, not things that you dread going to do. So,
we're surrounded by all this advice now on social media, online, drink, don't drink. It's okay to have coffee, don't have a lot of coffee. You've got all these wellness influencers who are, giving you all kinds of advice that seems like good advice, but you never really know. Is that why you decided to write this book and kind of lay it all out?
That is actually a major reason. I would get lots of questions exactly about this. It says this on this website. It says that on the other website. What am I supposed to do? Mm-hmm. I recently got one of those questions actually from my daughter, which is, they changed the vaccine schedule. What am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
So I did want to cut through that. I wanted to actually make 3 quick points with the book. One was, don't obsess about wellness. You can't make it the focus of your life. You have lots of other important things to do. Second, it is too complicated. Everyone is making it complicated. This additive or this micronutrient. And no, that's not it. Okay, focus on the big picture. And the last is they oversimplify all at the same time, which is they only talk about food, exercise, and sleep as if that was all of wellness. And we know that there's a lot more to wellness, and that other stuff like social engagements, having friends and family, having them over for dinner, and keeping your mind sharp, those are way more important than the food, exercise, and sleep in terms of health and longevity.
Social engagement, why is that so important?
Because you're human. And as Aristotle said, by nature, we are social animals. That's what our forebrain is all about, right? Navigating social connections. Man isn't the strongest animal around. Man isn't the fastest animal around. Why did we succeed? Because we can work together and collaborate and have participation with other people. So our brain actually changes when we have social interactions.
So that means eating dinner with other people?
Really important. Very, very high on my list of wellness activities, actually. Calling and talking to family, friends, just acquaintances, going into a cafe and talking to the barista is really, really important for us. It changes our brain. People say, oh, it's just psychological. No, it's not psychological. Mm-hmm. You get a squeeze of oxytocin in the brain, that love hormone of your cortisol and stress hormones. So the body changes in response to social interaction, and it's very good for you.
You brought up vaccines, and one of the things I enjoyed the most in your book was one of the sections was just, don't be a schmuck.
Yes.
Don't smoke, don't vape, don't do self-destructive things. And you said, don't avoid vaccines. I thought that was interesting that you said that specifically. Just this week, the Health and Human Services Secretary, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., talked about a major change to CDC guidelines when it comes to vaccines, rolling back recommendations that all kids get vaccinated for half a dozen vaccines. I asked him about that yesterday. I want to play a little bit for you about his justification and then get your take on it in a second.
Great.
Take a listen. Here's the promise that you made to Congress when you were going through your confirmation process. You said, I will support the CDC vaccine schedule when I get in there. Isn't this a violation of your promise?
No, this is the CDC vaccine schedule, and I am supporting it.
So, but I don't think that that's what senators took you to mean, that you would go ahead and change it.
Well, of course I'm going to change it if the president asked us to look at what the European countries were doing, which have much less chronic disease than we do, and to find out what the best practices were there and to implement them.
What's your take on that this was based upon the best science?
He's being too clever by half. You fire all of the ACIP That's the Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices, and put on a lot of vaccine skeptics. And then you say we're following the best science. When you don't release the science, you're actually following, and you don't consult the ACIP, and instead you consult the FDA head and the head of the NIH, which are never consulted on these recommendations. This is just nonsense. He's making up a story that bears no relationship to reality. Now, if he released the science, we would look, and he said, look, we're going to where Denmark is. That is total nonsense. They have 11 vaccines instead of 17 for young infants and children. Canada, by the way, has 16, just to give you a reference point. Almost all countries are closer to 15 or 16, not to 11. Denmark is totally different from us. 2% of our population, 6 million people. Universal health care coverage. No copays when you take a kid in to see the doctor or get treated. You have nurses that actually follow these children to make sure they get their vaccines. Very different healthcare system compared to the United States. And him to say we're following the best science and what European countries are doing and handpick one country that is so different from us, this just bears no relationship to reality. The fact is, since the 1950s, when we developed the polio vaccine and then the measles vaccine, mumps, chickenpox, and all the other vaccines we have, the rates of illnesses from those have gone down. The rates of hospitalizations have gone down. These vaccines are tested in tens of thousands of people. They are super safe, and the mortality rates have gone to almost negligible. It is safer to take a vaccine than have a peanut allergy in this country. He is just wrong about vaccines.
Dr. Ezekiel Emanuel, thank you so much for that insight. Thank you so much for Eat Your Ice Cream, which is available for order now. It's a really fun read. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.